Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roll 'em If You Got 'em. I am Dakota, and as always, I am joined with by Carl.
What's up, everybody?
All right. So in today's episode, it's going to be a little bit different. Video you're watching is a Primaris Librarian that I got out of a used bin at one of the local stores. You can already see he's already painted. He's already mostly way there painted. I'm going to restore him up a little bit here. So as you watch, you'll see me just kind of going through painting him. I don't strip him down. I just kind of full send it and paint over top of everything. Because as you can kind of see, he's not like thickly painted. He's just kind of like a decent one coat on everything. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, that was sort of my first question was like, did you think about stripping him down? Or I wasn't sure if you tried it out because it does appear to be super thin paint. And I was like, maybe he tried to strip him like a little bit.
No, so I didn't actually. So you see him and he's just like, didn't look too bad. And I was like, he's not like, it looks kind of blotchy maybe in the camera, but it wasn't on there thick. So I was like, it's like if the person got him and did like one cone of paint on everything. So I was like, I'll go for it. Like save some time, see how it works out. I don't know. Just kind of going for it.
Just full sended it.
Just full sending it. So as you watch,
I like it.
You'll see me go through painting. We're not going to talk too much as we paint. We might every now and then stop and like throw something in, but we're going to today we're going to talk a little about how we could use this guy in actually playing.
So before we move on to that, because right now we have the Caliban green coming up right on top of the red.
Yeah.
Before we move on from the painting, let's talk about this for a second.
Yeah, it worked. I'm gonna just be the first one to say it worked. The first layer went down and I went, well, this is interesting. So I got a layer down, and then as you can see, I'm like sitting there like, all right. Basically I just, did multiple thin coats. And I mean, you'll see what it looks like here in a minute. But
do I hit? Do I stay? Does it matter what the dealer has?
Yeah, yeah. So as I'm going through this, is very tentative. Like, this could be a bad idea. But like I said, we're just going for it.
Yeah.
Super cheap dude got him out of a used bin. It was just like, yeah, why not?
Full send.
Ain't no stopping now.
That's right.
I can't paint him any worse. I don't think so.
He's not going to go worse. We've been working on painting the outside of our house, and we actually, it's a pretty dark green color is what the last 2 years, the plan has been gray, white, and black. Mainly gray, black gutters and downspouts, white around the windows. And then like at the last minute, my wife's like, what do you think about green? And I was like, we've had this decided for years. Why is this a conversation now? Anyways, we went green and we started putting it on. And when paint's wet, it always looks lighter. And we were both like, what did we do? And then I developed that same attitude. I was like, you know what? It's not going to look worse. It literally can't look worse than, especially our garage. It hasn't been painted in what looks like 40 years. So yeah, I like the mindset here. Yeah. Any new painters watching this kind of stuff, just know, go for it. Full send.
And the thing too is, if you paint in thin coats, you can fix what you've done or may not have done. Like, as you can see, the green's already in now. And I'm going back. This is me like starting to hit that cleanup phase and getting that Ushabti bone on the cloak. But like, as you can see, that green, I just went right over that red. I just full sent over the red with it. And I mean, at this point, I'd done a couple layers. Didn't obviously show all of them, but it's a nice solid green color.
Yeah. To me, if I didn't know that you just flat out painted over red, I'd just be like, yeah, it's just green. Like, it looks good.
Yep. So you guys will keep watching me paint. And then we're going to talk about kind of how we'd use this dude when playing. So I play some Space Marines, mostly like Dark Angels. Carl's pretty new, and I know he's printing some now. So
I'm working on my Raptor, a play on Raptors. We're going to have some videos on that as soon as I figure out which STLs are giving me massive, literally ibuprofen level headaches today. it wasn't fun. But yes, Primaris Librarian.
Okay, so starting out, looking at his data sheet, what does he do? He's basically 6 move, T4, 3 up save, 4 wounds, 6 leadership, OC1. Pretty standard Space Marine stat line. His ranged weapons, he has a bolt pistol, and then he's got his like psychic witchfire. Oh, so the librarians, they're the magic dudes in Space Marines. If you didn't know that, they shoot lightning bolts out of their hands. There's those dudes. So he's got his smite, which you can do. You can do it either not focused or focused. Focused like ups the strength and AP. They're both D6 attacks, D3 damage. And he has in melee a force weapon. So all the librarians have this force weapon. It's a psychic weapon. It's 4 attacks, weapon skill 3, strength 6, AP 1, and D3 damage.
I didn't realize till right now. I guess I kind of forgot about 9th edition. Every psyker had access to smite.
Yep.
And it was in a lot of times it was what you did with what I did with my psyker. It's like, I guess I'll smite. Like it's the best option at the moment. Like I've completely forgotten about it in 10th edition until literally right now, looking at his data sheet here, and I'm like, oh yeah, smite. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they just made it. All the librarians, I think most of them have access to it as a basic ranged weapon.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. A ranged weapon.
Yep. So his abilities here, he's got the psychic hood. All the librarians in Space Marines, I believe, have this ability. It just depends on which units they can go in. So it's while this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have a 4+ feel no pain against psychic attacks. So every one of his weapons, except his bolt pistol, has that psychic keyword. Basically, if you attack a unit he's in with that, they're gonna roll their saves, and then they're gonna get that feel no pain against it if they take any wounds. So it's kind of like doubling down on that durability for his unit. And then his kind of psychic ability, he has Mental Fortress. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have a 4+ invulnerable save. So he can really like kind of make a unit tanky. So he's got that extra like, oh, you're going to hit me with AP4. Well, I got a 4-up invuln anyways. So you just save on 4s. And then if it's maybe you're playing Thousand Suns a lot, they have a lot of weird stuff where they can like turn off saves. Well, they don't turn off invulns or feel no pains. So you can, and they turn all their weapons into psychic. So you can just have like that extra defensive layer on them.
Nice.
So that's pretty much his stat line. And then he attaches to for the most part, every Primaris body in the Space Marines. So what can we really do with this dude? So, I mean, I think first off, right off the bat, with like how this edition plays right now, it's very shooty. He can absolutely just go in like your Hellblasters or Desolations or Infernus or even your Stern Guard vets. Those are probably like the top 4 like shooting type of units right now. None of them have invulns, so you throw that like defensive layer on them, so you don't double down on like an ability they have. He can go into. Oh, he cannot. So he cannot actually go into Blade Guard vets. I thought he could, but he gives all those units a 4-up invuln, which they don't have to begin with. But let's get a little bit spicier once we start looking at what we can do. So you can throw him in a shooting unit and be cool, or you can throw him into like your assault intercessors unit. So this is the one thing I've looked at. So you take him, you can kind of make him into like a I don't want to say like a beat stick type of unit, but like you can like amp him up pretty good to hit some great breakpoints. So if you throw him in assault intercessors, you're basically trying to get him into melee, and he's with a decent melee unit. Gives him the invuln, gives him the feel no pain. And then with 3 of the Space Marine chapters, they all have 3 of them. So the Dark Angels, Gladius, and Deathwatch all have a similar type of enhancement, which is essentially +1 attack, +1 strength, +1 damage on their melee weapons. So if you put him into, and like they'll have some sort of kickers with them to get it up to get it up to 2 of everything. But if you throw that enhancement on him, all of a sudden now he's got 5 attacks at strength 7. AP1, D3 plus 1 damage. So that can really turn into a lot of damage. The AP's not where you want it to be, but it's not bad. Like, you save on, if you're saving on a 3 regular, now you're saving on 4. And everyone that goes through is dealing up to 4 damage. Average 2, or average actually is 3 at that point. But so
okay.
he can kind of swing pretty hard for just being this little psychic dude. And then if like you hit the kicker on whatever you want in those, you get them all up to strength 8 and 6 attacks and D3 plus 2 damage. So he starts like swinging way up.
Yeah.
Where he just kind of starts hitting hard. And you have him kind of backed up with like all the wounds from an assault intercessor squad. So we can look at them and just like, we'll touch on them. We're not going to go too deep into them. Once I find their thing.
57, 58.
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, they're basically all carrying chainswords, which is pretty similar type of stat line. I mean, it's 4 attacks each, strength 4, AP1, 1 damage. So everybody's running AP1 on that, unless you give them some sort of thing. And the unit, so his great thing too is each time I'm modeling this unit on the assault intercessors, they can reroll 1s, or if you're on objective, reroll all the wounds. Oh, so reroll 1s to wound or reroll all the wounds.
So if the target is within range of an objective, reroll all the wounds.
Correct, yes. But if you're in melee, you're on the objective.
Most likely, yes.
So you take that strength 7 attack, and you're going to be wounding almost everything on like 3s and 4s. You're like 3s, 4s, and 5s is what you're wounding on for the most part. Even going into Custodes, their toughest stuff is toughness 7. Carl, you played Death Guard. What's your toughness on a lot of your stuff?
I think 7. I think we rock a lot of 7s.
I mean, yeah, you're mostly like 6s and 7s.
Yeah.
So even into that stuff where you're like, oh, I'm tough and durable, he still wounds on a 4. So everything that goes through, half of it's getting wounded, and then you add in this assault intercessor reroll, and ends up being the majority of it starts wounding.
Yes.
So I don't know, just a cool little combo that you can use him with, I think, where you send him in, you got an invul on a pretty fairly cheap unit, and you can have him maybe kill something. You can also have him like go in and what is it? There's one strat I think in the game where you can almost have him like duel a character, so you can snipe out a type of a character if you want to that doesn't have a great save, that's in a unit, and that type of stuff. So just one little cool type of like strat combo that I kind of thought of.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, a lot of it too is you can just throw him into your shooting units and make them defensive. I think Space Marines right now kind of have a decent amount of good shooting targets. The other factions might not have, or be able to like push through them with that 4-up invul.
Yeah, him given the I guess I was reading the feel no pain, but I guess I didn't read the psychic attacks only. So that negates what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, it like I said, it is for psychic, but it's a I don't know. It's just like that. Like it's something that you're not going to necessarily always come across, but you could.
Yeah,
which I think is pretty good. I mean,
for sure.
I wouldn't say pretty good. It's good. It's going to be niche, but like,
I think a lot of the sidekick attacks, and I've seen a very limited amount in 10th edition, but I feel like a lot are the psychic attacks are pretty good this edition. I think they made them maybe not more rare is the way to put it, but they increased maybe the entry fee for the psychic attacks to where they are a little bit better than what they were before. I felt like they were kind of vanilla in 9th, and they're a little more meaningful this edition.
Well, even too, like on his smite, he can do the focused, which gives it devastating wounds. So
Sure.
then every 6-2 wound is just mortal wounds that go through. So, if everybody that has that type of thing and they're going to smite you and they're doing focused, he can negate that damage. So,
Yeah.
he can just double down. So, it helps just add that little bit of durability instead of,
Mhm.
And he's relatively cheap. His cost isn't that insane. He's only like 80 points, I think, 85 points. He is 70 points. So
70. Okay.
yeah, so 70 points. I think that's a pretty budget-friendly character for at least Space Marines, where you can throw him into some stuff. And not be like, oh, I just spent a lot on XYZ character. And
Sure.
and next thing you know, your army's 1,000 points of characters, and you're like, what am I doing?
I haven't built that list yet, but
maybe. I did
maybe.
actually kind of messing around, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? It looked
Right.
cool, but I'm like, this is gonna lose. So yeah, so that's just a little bit of the combos that I thought of. There's probably some other stuff out there that you could find. I think there's this character doesn't really like. I would say he's more like maybe like a luxury character, but if you find that spot to throw him in, and all of a sudden he's good in your meta where there's a ton of psychic run around, or you can use your psychic effectively.
Mhm.
I think he could be pretty good.
Okay. So obviously you painted him up here to match your dark angels,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like a bit, right? Do you have any other blue armor in your dark angels?
No. So the one thing with the blue armor is every librarian wears blue, even if they're in a different chapter. So lore wise, every librarian wears blue for Space Marines.
Yeah, if I do a librarian for my Raptors, he's gonna miss that memo.
Yeah. The big thing with them is they wear blue. So painting them up, I made sure I get they always get I think like green the chapter color shoulder pads for painting them lore wise, and then I made sure he had the green cloak because I was like, I don't know, it's just one of those things where you paint him a little differently and then you throw him in all that green and you're like, hey, that dude kind of stands out and he looks pretty cool, instead of just camouflaging in with everybody else.
Right. No, it's definitely cool. Is there any special Dark Angels units you plan on putting him in, or anything particular to Dark Angels that you plan on pairing him with, even stratagems or anything like that?
So the thing is there's not many specific Dark Angels units that he can go in.
Yes, that's
Not
a good point.
not the Primaris version specifically. So you can take he can go into all the basic stuff, but the Dark Angels, they don't have any like specific Primaris style unit. Their units are the Terminators, and then they also have the Deathwing Knights and like the bikes.
Mm-hmm.
But he does have some cool combos with, because Dark Angels really like the Hellblasters, where they can kind of pop off on their own. But I think I'm going to be pinning him up soon will be a Terminator Librarian. And yeah, he's going to go into some Deathwing Terminators.
Gotcha. That'll be cool. Are they blue too?
He will be blue, but the Deathwing Terminators will be beige.
Yeah.
But he has very similar abilities. He's just in Terminator armor. I think the only thing different he has, if I can find him, he's probably only a couple down, is he gives sustained hits 1 instead of the invuln, because most Terminator models already have a 4-up invuln, and he already has a full up invuln on his data sheet. So his extra thing is sustained hits 1, so every 6 is an extra hit. So
Nice.
Kind of force multiplies that Terminator unit. But yeah, so that's a little bit of the combos. Kind of looking at the painting now. You can see we've been edge highlighting a little bit. I think, as you can kind of see him coming together, I think he's been turning out great. I'm just hitting the cloak at this point. The one thing I would say cool-wise that I saw, like painting this dude that I've never used before, is that Mortarian Grime wash.
Yeah, I'd never seen that before
I
until
think
you
it's like,
pulled it up here.
I haven't used it, but I've seen it used in some videos, and it's a very light wash. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it, because I didn't want to like dirty up his whole cloak. I was like, this dude is, not meant to be too like grimdark.
Yeah,
He's
supposed to be pristine.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just throw a little bit into on his cloak there to get some of those recesses to stand out.
Sophisticated.
And then what you're looking at here too with this arithmetic blue contrast, it didn't do what it was supposed to do. So I painted the like squigglies there on the sword with the other blues. You probably saw that earlier. And then I was like, oh, I wanted to make it look like it's glowing in a way. So I took that blue and I diluted it down with contrast medium.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'll just like brush it over a little bit like I'm doing, and it'll make it all look like it's glowy. I'll be honest, it didn't do that.
It doesn't look like it did a whole lot of anything.
Even when I'm doing it, I'm like, maybe. And I was like, I'll let it dry and see what happens. And it dried, and I'm like, it didn't do anything. And I was like, whatever.
Did you think about going back and hitting it without adding the medium?
I did, but at this point, I was like, it is what it is. I cannot medium it, and then I can just make the whole thing blue. And then if it sucks, I got to redo it all again, anyways.
I think the blue over top of the silver would probably look really good, but
yeah, it'd probably look decent. But yeah, so here's the before and after. You can see I just took him from the left, painted over him, and got the product on the right. So I mean, really, as you kind of go through and you're painting as you're going through your painting journey, and you're like, this dude, I didn't paint him. I painted him maybe poorly, but I at least did it thin. You can just, go back in, jump in, and fix them and change them up without having to strip them down. Which I didn't want. I hate stripping models.
The green over the red is quite impressive.
Yeah, it worked. That's the main thing. It worked.
Quite impressive.
But yeah, so no, we're just wrapping up here. You can see the backpack. I thought it all turned out really well.
Yeah, big fan.
But all right, well, Carl, do you have anything else to wrap us up here?
Just a little bit. So we will have an announcement coming up soon. We're gonna do a giveaway of sorts. More details in a separate video. And then other than that, just don't be stingy with those subscriptions, because they really help the channel out. And that's all I got for this video.
Well, thanks for joining us. Have a good one.
Yeah. Good job, by the way, Dakota. Yay.
Yay.
Bye, everybody. Hey, everyone. Thanks for checking out the video. Don't forget to do the YouTube things for us. Like, subscribe, drop a comment on the video. There are links below to our Discord channel. You come in, chat with us, hang out. If there's anything special you'd like to see, that's a great place to put it. And follow us on Instagram. Until next time, bye.